elsewhere in the Bible, when the phrase is used, the sound of the Lord God, it's nearly always frightening. People are terrified of it. Why is that? It's frightening because people recognize that a holy and righteous God is speaking to a disobedient and rebellious and stubborn people. Ben and I were talking just this morning about this funny thing where in our culture at large, it's way more acceptable to talk about God generically than Jesus specifically. And why is that? Because we can talk about God generally and still act like we're basically talking about someone who serves me. Because we can conceive of God as just, say, the generally like moral force in the universe. We don't even take that concept all that seriously. What we mean by that is we can talk about God and talk about like that being who basically just wants us all to get along and be nice to each other and not do anything really egregiously bad. But other than that, he doesn't really have any specific expectations on my life. But the minute that you mention Jesus and say the God of the Bible, people don't like this. And why is that? Because we start to realize we're talking actually about a God who, if I'm really honest with myself, probably does not like most of what I do. Because if God is like absolutely good, he's not like mostly good, but he'll tolerate some evil. No, if he's actually good, capital G good, he will not tolerate evil. He will not turn a blind eye to any evil. None. Zero. So none of your lies that you tell, none of your lust that you look at people with, none of your anger that you lash out at people with because of your petty, selfish desires, none of it. God does not tolerate any of it. He won't let any of it go unchallenged. And so the voice of the Lord God, it's terrifying. And so the man and the woman, they hear the sound of the Lord God walking or going back and forth is a literal meaning of the Hebrew phrase there, going back and forth. And then the ESV says, in the cool of the day. The problem with that interpretation is the word cool, not the word cool. It's the word wind, the wind. The ruach, that's the Hebrew word, ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God, the wind of God. So they hear the sound of the Lord God walking in the wind of the day. The problem is there are two. So in English, we have the word there and the word there. The same word, but different meanings, right? Now in English, it's spelled a little bit different way. In Hebrew, there are two words spelled exactly the same way, both of them pronounced yom. And that word can mean day, but that word can also mean storm. Storm. So I think a better translation of Genesis chapter 1 is they heard the sound of the Lord God going back and forth in the wind of the storm. Now, why do I say that? Because often in the Bible, when God shows up in judgment, he shows up in a storm. So literally at Mount Sinai, the people are so terrified because they hear the sound of the Lord God, and what are they seeing? They're seeing the mountain going crazy. There's lightning, there's fire, there's a storm. And I think that what happened, this explains why Adam and Eve hide. Because they hear God coming in judgment. They hear God coming in a fearsome storm, and they hide. We often read that, and we think they're like, no, they hear God just going for a stroll in the afternoon sun, in the shade part, though, because it's the cool of the day. That is not the idea in Genesis chapter 3. God is not going for a stroll. He is not unaware of what they have done. He is not actually in the dark about what has transpired. He knows exactly what has happened. He knows that the serpent has deceived his people. He knows that they have rejected him, that they don't trust him. He knows that they have decided autonomy for themselves. And you think, well, then why is he asking them about that? He knows what's happened. He's not asking them these questions for his benefit because he doesn't understand what's going on. He's asking this as to condemn them. He's asking this, so when I come to my kids sometimes, it's like, and I'll ask, hey, what happened there? But it's like, I watched it happen. I know what happened. I'm not asking what happened because I don't know. I'm asking what happened because I want my children to face the reality of what has just occurred.